Hi, welcome to my new video. This time I wanted to show you the next part in the series about making illustrations for Kobe chocolate, and especially about turning the idea sketch that I had, so the picture on the left, into a color illustration that later became this postcard that was used for promoting the Kobe chocolate product. If you saw the previous two videos, you know that I did some illustrations for Kobe chocolate made with Kobe inks and about Kobe, about the city, presenting some interesting sides of the city for the packaging of the chocolate and some promotional materials like posters. So of course the first step was to just go to Kobe and to look for some interesting places. And here I have the Uroko no Ie, so the scale house. I guess it's because of the cladding it has on the walls, and I liked it since I lived in Kobe, so I wanted to feature it in those illustrations. And based on the photos I took during the location hunt, I did a really rough drawing, the one that you can see in the beginning of this video, and sent it to the advertising agency to check if the idea was okay. And they said, okay, it's good, just go with it. So I started to flesh out the idea I had in Procreate digitally first, trying to get the image of what I will have to do later with the inks. I usually try to do this preparation step, especially if I'm doing a commission, and especially if I'm doing a commission in a medium that I'm not familiar with or containing something I'm not familiar with. And I try to get this sketch approved also, so then I can just go in with the watercolors, or like in this case with colored inks, without worrying that the person who actually commissions the piece will be surprised with what I in the end did with the paints, because they already saw the digital demo version. And this demo version also gives me a point of reference when I'm painting with watercolors or colored inks like here. Of course, it's more complicated than just following the digital sketch that I already did. I have to think and be careful while I'm painting to use the proper combinations of colors, the proper order of painting, and try to make the final piece even better, a lot better than the digital sketch. Here I'm using something a bit different than usual, because these are colored inks, colored fountain pen inks that I was told to use because these are Kobe themed, made by a company that is Kobe based, on my usual cold pressed watercolor paper, and I'm painting on light pencil lines that I transferred to the watercolor paper using a tracing table and a printed version of the digital rough that I did earlier. And here I wanted to say just a few words about the process itself. So how do I get from the simple sketch to the finished picture? Usually it takes me a few tries to just even get the first thumbnail right, and I like to test many ideas in this stage because it's still really rough. I don't have to spend so much time on testing each of the ideas that come to my mind. I can just discard the one that I don't like and try something completely different because it's so small and simple. So usually I would do this with my pencil just on paper, or digitally in Procreate, just doodle a lot of ideas, and then when I get something that is more or less along the lines of the idea that I have, the image that I have, I try to flesh it out also in digital or by hand, it doesn't matter. But at each of the steps that follow, I still try to think about the overall image and idea and the theme, the feeling, and all kinds of small details that I would like to transmit through the picture. So for example, here I'm painting this house that I visited a few times while I was still living in Kobe, and I liked it a lot. But of course I don't like few things about it. I don't like those strange Christmas decorations that they put on it. You could see them in the video in the first part when I was showing the location hunting. So I don't include them. I try to include the parts that I think will emphasize my theme. So for example, here the awesome red color of the telephone booth, the nice blue shadows, the cladding, the scale-like cladding of the building, and of course the mountains of Kobe in the back and the huge blue sky. So I tried to make those elements more visible and more prominent, having the theme of the painting in mind while I'm doing every step of the process, and the theme here is of course showing the beauty of Kobe. Okay, so here is how the finished picture turned out, and then later it was turned into the postcards of course, but here is the scanned and edited version. I like how it turned out, I like the colors, even though the whole thing was a bit of an experiment because it was the first time I was using the color Kobe inks for painting, and as usual when I do something I'm not used to, I think I learned a lot. Okay, that's it for this video. As always, feel free to comment, share and subscribe, and you can also support me on Patreon. See you in the next video. Bye!